computer somehow ate the tape or digital whatever happened, and I was going to explain it to you, but we just went to commercial. So we're going to try it again. Paul Ryan, earlier, I had just tossed to a soundbite from Donald Trump and Mike Pence before the election.
Paul Ryan, I'm very disappointed in leadership, because I really believe we'd be winning by a lot. That we have to fight against Republicans is absolutely insane and ridiculous, so I'm very disappointed. But I will work with everybody. I'm not just talking about Paul Ryan. I'll get things through.
So he was disappointed. And did he express that today?
No, not at all. Look, the past is the past. And more importantly, look at how we closed the campaign. You saw the guy sitting next to him, Mike Pence. Mike Pence and I did a big rally in Wisconsin the Saturday before the election, saying everybody come out and vote for Donald Trump, for Mike Pence, for Ron Johnson, who won re-election. For the first time since 1984, our 10 electoral votes in Wisconsin went Republican, went for Donald Trump. We re-elected our Senator Ron Johnson to beat Russ Feingold. We had a great year in America, but in Wisconsin, we closed the campaign by calling for Republican unity, and that is what we now have going forward.
So when you hear Trump supporters out there still sore that, like, Republicans didn't, all of them, step behind?
Yeah, look, this was an unconventional year. He was an unconventional candidate. But the point is, we unified, especially at the right time at the end, and it worked. And look, Donald Trump heard something out there in America that no one else heard. He heard and he saw a movement out there. And this, he pulled off, like I said yesterday, one of the most impressive political feats I have seen in my lifetime. It is an amazing thing. And so Donald Trump deserves all that credit. And by the way, we were expecting and being told to expect more losses in the House than we got. And Donald Trump gave coattails. He had an updraft on the ticket where more House Republicans got elected because of his candidacy. So he gets a lot of credit for that. We had a very good night in the House Republicans. We will have probably a 241-seat majority, which is impressive. And so that means we have a good, strong working majority. We retain the majority in the United States Senate. And so what we got from our president-elect today is, let's go now execute. Let's go get these things done. I think about just the regulations. Think about the out-of-work coal workers. Think about the out-of-work timber workers in the West. Think about the ranchers who are getting hit by the Interior Department. Think about all these regulations that Obama is planning on rolling out that will put a wet rag and a dark cloud on our economy. It's being lifted. Donald Trump's election right there, just from regulations, helps save millions of jobs, helps the economy, and that's before we even get going on passing a legislative agenda to get people back to work to fix our country's problems. So we're all very excited about getting to work on this.
All right, I want to go through the agenda and what's coming, but last question on the process here. Are you worried about any challenge to your speakership from the Freedom Caucus or anybody else?
No, we're excited about going forward and about working on executing an agenda. So the Democrats are the ones in the turmoil. The Republicans are the ones who are unified, and we're excited about working with our president-elect with a good transition so we hit the ground running.
Okay, let's talk about what you're trying to get done. What do you think goes first?
Well, that's what a transition's for. So we basically started that discussion today. Mike Pence knows House Republicans, Senate Republicans extremely well. So he is working with us as well, Donald, on the transition. So that's exactly what we're going to be working on in the coming weeks and months about how to sequence the kinds of reforms to make good on the campaign promises that Donald Trump made, that he's serious about, and to pass an agenda to get this country back on track.
But Obamacare, I mean, it's got to be up there.
That's fine, though, absolutely. Obamacare, we want to go big, we want to go bold, we want to do everything we said we'd do. Obamacare's failing, so it has to get replaced quickly. That's clearly high on our list. So is tax reform. So is securing the border. There are all these things that we know we need to do, and now we're going through sort of the nitty-gritty details about how to get these things done in 2017.
You all had passed a bill to repeal and replace. It got vetoed by President Obama. But it was the replace part that we never had a sense that Republicans were singing from the same sheet of music on what it looked like.
We did act. So that was what our Better Way agenda was about. So 247 House Republicans all agreed and signed up for a full replacement plan. If you go to better.gop, look at our 5th item out of our 6 items, you'll see our replacement plan. Donald and I spoke about this today. We're on the same page on these things, and it resembles exactly the kinds of reforms that he was talking about.
Okay, you mentioned immigration. You're not on the same page on immigration, at least on the campaign trail.
I don't really agree with that. We are on the same page on securing the border, and that border security first is what President-elect Trump is talking about, and that's something we all totally agree with.
And the deportation.
Well, I think right now we want to secure the border, and that is really the first priority.
Okay, let's tick down these things. You have a debt ceiling coming up. Mm-hmm. How's that going to work?
Well, thankfully, we're going to be doing it with a Republican president, a Republican Congress. That means we finally can tackle our big fiscal issues. That means we can finally tackle the oppressive taxes that are stifling job creation and business and making America uncompetitive. So having a debt limit, which occurs, marches around the time this occurs, with President-elect Trump, with President Trump, and a congressional Republicans and congressional Senate Democrats in the minority and Senate Republicans in the majority, makes it a world of difference better. It means we can use this as an opportunity to get good things done.
But your solution has always been to put things together, including entitlement reform. That is Paul Ryan's plan. That's not Donald Trump's plan.
Well, you have to remember, when Obamacare became Obamacare rewrote Medicare, rewrote Medicaid. So if you're going to repeal and replace Obamacare, you have to address those issues as well. So what a lot of folks don't realize is this 21-person board called the IPAB is about to kick in with price controls on Medicare. What people don't realize is because of Obamacare, Medicare is going broke. Medicare is going to have price controls. Because of Obamacare, Medicaid is in fiscal straits. So you have to deal with those issues if you're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Medicare has got some serious problems because of Obamacare. So those things are part of our plan to replace Obamacare.
And do you put Obamacare repeal and place through the Senate in budget reconciliation?
Those are details.
That's the Senate thing. Okay, process. But Social Security, obviously, is something you've always talked about. And
that's something I talked about, but that was not part of our Better Way agenda. Frankly, the fiscal pressures are mounting faster on health care than they are on Social Security.
What about taxes? Is that going to be up top?
Absolutely. Look, we tax our businesses in America at much, much higher tax rates than our foreign competitors tax theirs. Therefore, they're winning and we're losing. We have trillions of dollars trapped overseas of American capital that could be redeployed to America but for our tax laws. So this tax code is just stifling economic growth. Donald Trump put out a tax plan in the campaign that is almost the same as the tax plan that House Republicans. So we are absolutely on the same page on reforming the tax code, reining in the IRS, and simplifying the tax system for working families. So this is obviously one of the critical steps toward getting this economy growing again, getting wages up, getting people back to work, getting businesses hiring. That is something that we clearly talked about today, and that's something that we're obviously going to be working on as part of our big agenda this year.
On the immigration front, are you in favor of building a wall?
I'm in favor of securing the border, and I do believe that you have to have physical barriers on the border. I will defer to the experts on the border as to what is the right way to actually secure the border. And remember, it's not just border security. You have to have interior enforcement. You have to have a visa tracking system. You have to have what we call E-Verify, so someone can't steal another person's identity to get a job illegally. So on border security, on interior enforcement, this is something that all Republicans agree needs to be addressed. It's something that Donald Trump ran on, and that means securing the border, and we're going to do whatever it takes to do that.
For the opponents, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers, who said that they were concerned about Donald Trump, the president, in national security, that he would have his finger on the button of the nuclear codes.
I look at that as campaign. That was campaign rhetoric, campaign hyperbole. First of all, the Donald Trump we saw at 2 or 3 in the morning on Tuesday night was a president. We saw a man who was magnanimous, who was gracious, who exhibited at 2 in the morning after a really tough campaign a perfect temperament. So what I see is a person who's taking his responsibility seriously, who understands he was given the mantle from the country to turn this country around and get us out of the tough ditch we're in. 70% of Americans don't like the path that America is on, and they want a different path. He ran on offering a different path. We, as Republicans, offered specific solutions to these problems. That's what we're going to be focusing on. He's already talking in his transition about getting the kind of experts and advisors on foreign policy that would make any Republican presidency proud.
So you say it's like lifting a cloud for Republicans.
It is. It's like, look, we've had this divided government for some time. And look, it's no secret that I don't agree with the direction President Obama took the country. But being in Congress without having the White House has been extremely frustrating because we haven't been able to get things done. Now we finally have. This was my closing argument in the campaign. I stood there with Mike Pence in McWanago, Wisconsin, saying, with a unified Republican government, we can actually get things done for the people of this country. We now have that, and now we're working on putting the transition plans together to make sure we can deliver that.
We'll follow it every step of the way. Mr. Speaker, thanks for being here.
Very exciting. Thanks, Brett.
We'll analyze that interview later with the panel.